U.S. President Donald Trump not attending Apec. Calls for Vanimo prison to be relocated because of rising sea levels. And Kokoda Trekk locals fed up with seeing no benefits.
This is the National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Saturday's news. United States President Donald Trump will not be attending the Apec Leaders Summit set for November. Instead, United States Vice President Mike Pence will be coming in his place. In a statement today, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill welcomed the announcement, describing Vice President Pence as an outstanding leader and a man of great religious conviction. Mr. O'Neill said that Mr. Pence had played an important role in helping bring the 400-year-old King James Bible to PNG. He said the then governor of Indiana had helped to bring about the support needed for the donation and transport of the Bible to Port Moresby. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer will also be attending the APEC ministers meeting on November 15th. Other world leaders already confirmed to be in country come November are from China, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia and Russia. Now, it may seem like a long-term plan to relocate the Vanimo prison, but it is a plan that needs urgent attention now. The prison is facing issues with land. However, this time it has nothing to do with landowners. This time the threat is coming from the effects of climate change. Stanley Ove Jr. files this report from Vanimo.
This is the imminent threat the Vanimo Correctional Institute is facing. Rising sea levels that have eaten away the beachfront and is now ripping through the road leading into the prison. What used to be a 10-meter wide sea wall is now a rubble of rocks.
But yes, we have...
Speaking to EMTV News, Commander Michael Wundia says the deteriorating beachfront is a threat to security, especially for the remanded, as in the next 3 to 5 years, seawater can enter the prison.
So before this ground because I'm inside Kokoda. But now slowly I come. Stop straight on the road. And within the next 5 or 10 years, who knows?
However, Commander Wundia says there are plans in place to relocate the prison. He says this must happen as there is no land space to properly rehabilitate prisoners.
This institution needs to be relocated. And must go along have ground where you got people around so that prisoners or detainees have opportunity to partake in rehabilitation programs and activities. Because that's the core business from correctional service. That the prisoners or detainees have to be rehabilitated, that they have to return as a reformed or transformed person back into the society to become a good citizen of country.
While Vanimo remains a strategic hub for international trade, it also remains vulnerable to transnational crimes. And Wundia says the prison must be given the proper attention to improve its facilities to a provincial or international standard prison.
Vanimo prison is a border prison. It should be recognized as an international prison too, because we have people coming from the other side of the border, Indonesians. There is likely of transnational crimes and by increases. And so when you develop a border, institutions like police and CS have to be captured.
Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News, Vanimo.
People in Mount Koyari of the Central Province are calling on stakeholders of the Kokoda Trekk for assistance in terms of infrastructure development. Local Noel Landy said the lack of infrastructure such as roads is affecting education and health services in the area. He said teachers and health workers in the area have left due to the struggle of trying to get to the city by road.
Traveling in and out of Mount Koyari is a real struggle. The area is accessible only by air and road. The fee for a 30-minute flight from Port Moresby to Mount Koyari is 500 kina plus additional charges. On the other hand, the road leading into the villages is not in a state to be called a road. Due to these transportation issues, villagers are faced with challenges every day.
Hospital. I think there are about 3 or 4 people only die, Lord. Been walk about finding medicine, Lord, come Golo Mosby, only die, Lord. This road. This road now, people are walking stuff. There are about, I think, 3 people. Only died on this road here. Just because of no Simlo housing. Nobody's there.
School and health supplies are delayed or sometimes do not come at all due to the transportation issue. Most teachers and health workers in the area have left for Port Moresby because of this. A grade 4 teacher at Kavovo Primary School in Madilogo village said they had become a victim of the transportation issue.
Usait man by sim heavy or somatin saksim people para. People big man right, but children they are the victim of our absence, the teachers, because of the failure of that transport problem. So me appeal no stakeholders, national leaders, usait all man got business houses, and especially to the trekking owners. The company, the trekking owners, please me appeal to them. Children are our future leaders because they are the ones to change our community.
The locals in the area have mobilized to initiate a road project to solve this issue. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News.
People from villages along the Kokoda track say they will commence with logging and mining along the track if they do not get the help they seek. They have started a road project and want relevant authorities to assist. A local and track ranger, Noah Lendy, spoke on behalf of the people.
We play to continue walking, we go. One him up and frustration him come up, we will dig Kokoda track. Nobody will stop us. We will do the logging on Kokoda track. We will do the mining on Kokoda track. Because all man work use him or kind something, kind name he come up now, all work making money out of Kokoda track and our environment here. And me play work stop us him. Nobody's looking at us, nobody's talking about it. That is why me play at initiative, me play, this is first. Second, third, fourth, me play at working, use him man. Me play caramel is up beginning, he come, there's going to be frustration. We get through Kokoda track and nobody's going to stop us. This is our land. I'm ground me play. Nobody's going to come and control us.
You're watching National EMTV News. We go for our first break now, but stay tuned. We'll have more of the day's other stories when we come back. Welcome back to the news. The Asian Development Bank is a proud partner of the government in supporting the National Maritime Safety Authority in ensuring maritime safety. In 2013, the government and the ADB signed a loan agreement for the Maritime Waterway Safety Project. Under this project, the NMSA have launched a Safety at Sea booklet, a community awareness guide for people travelling by sea. ADB Country Director David Hill said maritime safety is vital for the vast population along the coast and remote islands of PNG.
The loan was signed on 29th of January 2013 and became effective on May 2013. David Hill said the project was scheduled to close next month, but because of the progress and positive outcomes, they will extend the closing date. The National Maritime Safety Authority is executing the project on behalf of the government.
ADB approved the Maritime and Waterway Safety Project on 18 December 2012. The government and ADB signed loan agreements of $41.5 million from ADB's special funds on the 29th of January 2013. The government funds approximately $6.9 million of the project, including taxes and duties.
Mr. Hill said an objective of the Maritime Waterway Safety Project is to improve the safety and efficiency of international and national shipping in the waterways of PNG through providing maritime safety awareness. The Safety at Sea booklet, which was launched on Thursday, helps achieve this objective.
The objective of this Maritime and Waterway Safety Project is to improve the safety and efficiency of international and national shipping in coastal areas and waterways in PNG through 1. Replacing and installing and maintaining navigational aids, 2. Improving safety information infrastructure, and 3. Improving maritime safety practices of communities by providing maritime safety awareness activities for the public.
David Hill said the project will help sea travelers towards making progress in improving quality of lives. ADB is a proud partner of the government of PNG in the development and transport sector. Rayon Lakingu, National MTV News.
Former Right Coast MP James Gao has passed away. He died on Wednesday, August 29 at his home at North Waigani in Port Moresby. The former Right Coast MP entered politics in 2010 from a by-election after the death of then Right Coast MP Nero Sapia. In 2011, he was elected by the Madang Provincial Executive Council as the Madang Governor. He held both the Governor and Open Members post. During the 2012 general elections, Gao lost his seat to current Right Coast MP Peter Sapia in 2017. The former MP died from cardiorespiratory arrest. He was 63 years old. He survived by his 2 wives, children and grandchildren. Today, the PNG Defence Force Engineering Battalion celebrated 42 years since its establishment. This unit of the Defence Force has been responsible for building airstrips, roads and bridges around the country since 1976. Engineering Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Bruno Malau said these have been the achievements and the battalion will soon be growing with plans of establishing 2 more engineering battalions for the country.
This morning, officers from the PNG Defence Force Engineering Battalion hosted a ceremonial parade at the Igam Barracks to commemorate the battalion's milestone. After the parade formalities, the Moresby Governor, Ginton Saonu, was given the honour of inspecting the parade as the parade guest. He was accompanied by Engineering Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Bruno Malau and Area Commander Colonel Carl Rakone.
On the 1st of September, that was on a Wednesday, 1976. It was during a civic action project up in Green River, in West Apec.
This was the start of many other projects constructed by the Engineering Battalion. Anthony Ling Noge from Finchafen in the Moresby province is a retired regiment sergeant major. He was one of the pioneer Engineering Battalion officers in 1976.
I'm from Okay, time me play Igolong Green River. The actual start of project airstrip. How me play go inside me play behind him Sipikwara Defence Force bats. Ship me been carry me play go on top. He go come up long Dio landing. One place all call him Dio landing. Okay, me play movie mall equipment na transport me play out long desala. Me play start Burkim swamp na bush na me play go. Clear him na go come up long Green River. At the present airstrip stop inside.
This year, the battalion has been focusing on leadership and mentoring. Lieutenant Colonel Malau said, with the demand in road constructions, there are plans to establish 2 more engineering battalions.
So yes, the engineering battalion is going to be growing. We're going to be having another 2 engineering battalions within the country.
Lucy Kopana, National MTV News, Leh.
This National MTV News, still ahead, stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, controversial American whistleblower Chelsea Manning has been granted a special visa waiver allowing her to visit New Zealand. Manning leaked confidential U.S. information that highlighted civilians killed by U.S. forces during war. Some are calling her a traitor and that she should be banned.
Some call her an enemy of the people. Others label her a hero. However you see it, she's coming to New Zealand.
We want to make clear that we didn't plant this story to get publicity, that it's just been part of the course, that National brought this story to the fore, but all publicity is good publicity.
Today, Immigration New Zealand granted the former US intelligence officer a special direction which she needed because of her military convictions related to her leak of 250,000 US diplomatic cables and material showing the US military killing civilians and 2 Reuters journalists in Iraq.
We wouldn't know about those things without people like her, and we'd get those abusers kind of operating with impunity.
Manning served 7 years of a 35-year prison term before having her sentence commuted by President Obama. The Prime Minister says she supports Manning's right to speak.
I think there's interest in what she has to say, and we should allow New Zealanders to hear that.
On Tuesday, National's immigration spokesman Michael Woodhouse said Manning's a criminal who should be banned. Woodhouse declined to comment on immigration's decision, but on the AM show this morning, his colleague Judith Collins continued to attack Manning, calling her a traitor.
Most likely, with the information that she gave, people lost their lives.
But that claim has long been discredited. At Manning's sentencing hearing in 2013, the Pentagon said an investigation found no instances of any individual killed by enemy forces as a result of her leaks. Manning's promoter says the decision's a win for free speech and ticket sales. Manning's promoter expects her work visa to be approved, meaning her talks in Wellington and Auckland next week should go ahead as planned. But her criminal record is causing problems for the Australia leg of the tour. Officials there indicating she'll likely be banned.
In the United States, both sides of the political divide came together to pay tribute to late U.S. Senator John McCain yesterday. McCain was famous for being able to cross political boundaries. He was also well known for having a sense of humor.
I'm a Democrat. And I love John McCain.
In a church filled with thousands of mourners, the former vice president described a bipartisan bond forged 40 years ago when a newly released POW began accompanying a young Senator Biden on diplomatic trips.
We're both cockeyed optimists and really believe that there's not a single thing beyond the capacity of this country.
He wasn't the only one to recount a seemingly unlikely friendship with McCain.
I'm black, he was white. I'm young, he wasn't so young.
Larry Fitzgerald is a star wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals.
What made Senator McCain so special was that he cared about the substance of my heart, more so than where I came from.
Tommy Espinoza is a local Latino activist who met the Republican lawmaker in the 1980s.
John says, I want you to speak on my behalf at the Republican convention. I said, Senator, I want to remind you I'm a Democrat.
There were readings by 2 of McCain's 7 children.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 2.
I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith.
And a larger lesson, Biden said, about putting principle before politics.
He could not stand the abuse of power wherever he saw it, in whatever form, in whatever country.
Another star was farewelled today. The funeral of Aretha Franklin was full of mourning, laughter, and of course soulful hymns, befitting a star who won 18 Grammys and numerous honors in her lifetime. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton delivered the eulogy.
The casket of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, arriving on the red carpet for a funeral planned to celebrate her incredible life. Music industry icons including Shaka Khan, Ron Isley,
he watches me,
Smokey Robinson,
really gonna miss you.
Civil rights leaders and politicians all turning out to pay their respects.
So I started off as a groupie. I hope God will forgive me, but I was so glad when I got here, and I hope you will forgive me. When the casket was still open, because I said, I wonder what my friends got on today.
Celebrate Aretha!
And the city of Detroit turning out in force to pay their respects too. Outside the Greater Grace Temple, hundreds waited overnight for a chance to get into the funeral. Inside the temple, a star-studded celebration of her music. Her family remembering the woman they lost.
Nothing sounded better to me than the way my grandma sings. Her voice made you feel something.
Former President Bill Clinton sharing a moment from her last public performance when she was ill.
She's sitting there, obviously desperately ill, gaunt. She stood right up and said, "How you doing, baby?" I said, "Well, I'm doing better now." And she said, "Well, look at me. I finally got thin again." It took a lot of guts to say that.
Others hitting the high notes in her honor. Jennifer Hudson. And civil rights leaders recalling her commitment to the movement.
She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular.
The celebration of Aretha Franklin's life fittingly played out by another soul icon, Stevie Wonder.
Chinese tourist giant Alibaba has listed destinations from all over New Zealand's South Island on its travel advisory service. As many as 600 million potential Chinese tourists will be given the opportunity to book a New Zealand getaway.
Stretching over 10 kilometres of the Southern Alps, this is Franz Josef Glacier, one of the most popular tourist destinations in the South Island. Tourists fly in to walk amongst the crevasses and into the famous blue caves below the surface. Now that beauty is about to be blasted to mainland China. China's Alibaba, the biggest e-commerce company in the world, has started listing the South Island on its travel app Fliggy.
We've got hundreds of millions of users of Fliggy. Fliggy is actually used to book accommodation, book hotels, and actually search for and book attractions.
Representatives jetting in from China for the official launch in Franz Josef. The campaign run in partnership with Christchurch Airport.
It made a lot of sense for the South Island to have a really strong presence on the Fliggy platform.
Westland Mayor Bruce Smith says the plan is a boost to businesses all over the region.
It's outgrowing every other market. You know, tourism's worth $354 million of GDP to Westland every year.
Attractions like the glacier hikes have made tourism the fastest growing industry in Westland, employing 6 out of every 10 people working there. The hope is Fliggy will encourage travellers to visit in the slower winter months.
No one really kind of expects or understands what it's like to be up here until you're up here. I guess shock is the most thing. People are just so in awe of what's going on up here. It's pretty incredible.
This is why tourists come from all over the world. These 30-metre deep blue crevasses are formed as ice moves downhill, sometimes as fast as 5 metres a day. The country's finest put on show by a company with a customer base 120 times bigger than the entire population of New Zealand.
For millions of young Chinese women, cosmetic surgery is fast becoming the norm. This year, around 10 million people will go under the knife, half of them under the age of 25.
At 5 o'clock on a Friday evening, another patient is being measured for surgery at the Tianyong Chung Clinic. It's one of several in Beijing that reports this as one of their busiest times of year, when a growing number of students, mostly girls, are going under the knife before starting or returning to university. In the consultation room downstairs, Ming Hui is being led through her surgical procedure. The 24-year-old wants her eyes to be wider, and the bridge of her nose to be higher. She is one of millions of young Chinese women who believe it will boost their self-esteem.
My friend had surgery and she looks great. I want to do the same because no one is born perfect.
The cosmetic surgery industry is growing at a rate of 40% a year in China, and teenagers have become the biggest market. Buying a new outfit for the start of term is no longer good enough for those who can afford surgery instead.
More than 10 million people will get cosmetic surgery in China this year, and a majority of them will be under the age of 25. They are part of an image-obsessed generation who equate beauty with happiness.
This is one of many websites where thousands share their surgery stories, posting before and after pictures describing how good they feel and the confidence they have gained. Double eyelid surgery, nose jobs and chin slimming procedures are the most common. Celebrity endorsements help drive business to the clinics which sponsor the site. But regulations have failed to keep up with popularity. And this girl from central China is one of several botched surgery victims. Dr. Tian has operated on a number of Chinese celebrities, but says surgery is no longer the preserve of the rich.
Parents are now buying surgery for their children, and people are coming here spending their life savings. They believe beauty is related to quality of life, and it can make you healthier and happier.
In China, it seems beauty is not in the eye of the beholder, but in the hands of a surgeon.
You're tuned into National EMTV News. We have Trekk Sports coming your way next. Don't go away.
Trekk Sports.
Welcome to Trekk Sports. To volleyball first. After failing to overthrow reigning champions Vabukori Amateur Volleyball Association in last year's National Championship Grand Final, Fairfax Volleyball are now more determined than ever before to claim victory. In their training session this morning at the Tarama Aquatic and Indoor Centre, Fairfax men's team manager Victor Laukai spoke of the team's preparation.
Training for last 3 weeks, Fairfax Volleyball Association, open men, open women, under 21 men and women. In the last national championship, Fairfax open men made it to the grand final, played with Vava, but we didn't make it. We are runner-ups in the last championship. We're trying to put together a good team this time and eventually come out victorious. Obviously, Vava has been in there for a long time. So all the teams like Fairfax, NCD and other associations, I'm sure they're also preparing very well to host the champions. So we also have that in mind and we are working very hard. We are also telling the players that they have to rise. And this year we want to come out victorious, but that depends on the players.
With 20 days to this year's Prime Minister's Corporate Golf Challenge, PNG Olympic Committee President Sir John Dawaninkura says the event is one of the PNG Olympic Committee's biggest fundraisers. Funds raised will go towards supporting Team PNG athletes to next year's Pacific Games in Samoa.
Supporting the national newspaper to raise funds for Team PNG in this year's Prime Minister's Corporate Golf Challenge are Air Niugini, Coral Sea Hotels, Theodist and Coca-Cola and others. The annual Golf Challenge is PNG Olympic Committee's second major fundraiser, which raises much-needed funds to send Team PNG to international sporting events such as the Pacific Games, Commonwealth and Olympic Games. The event has been a major supplier of funds to Team PNG, and organisations are asked to support this worthy cause. PNG Olympic Committee President Sir John Dawanikura thanked those who participated in last year's competition, inviting them to rejoin the challenge this year. Last year's winner was MRDC, while the second and third places were taken by Southern Cross and Tupira Surf Club respectively. Samoa 2019 Pacific Games is important for Team PNG, so support from partners and stakeholders will help them defend their 2015 title. PNG has never topped the medal tally at any away games and aims to make Samoa the first of many. While the PM's Corporate Golf Challenge provides for a competitive but healthy rivalry, it is also a great opportunity for professionals to meet and network in an informal but enjoyable setting. Registration fee for this year's event is 3,000 kina for a team, and funds raised will go towards sending Team PNG to the 16th Pacific Games in Samoa in 2019. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. We'll have more for you on the other side of these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To NRL, spare a thought for Warriors coach Stephen Kearney and his troops tonight as they rely on other results to keep their NRL home playoff hopes alive. The Warriors lie sixth, but the Dragons are set to breeze past them.
A St George Illawarra win would have denied the Warriors a home playoff game, but the Dragons' miserable form slump continued. Ironically, a former Warrior, journeyman Jeremy Lattimore, finally got the Dragons going in the second spell.
Jeremy Lattimore!
And then from long range, winger Nanny McDonald scorched the Knights to finally give the Dragons the lead.
Races away to send St George Illawarra to the lead.
Last night, the Warriors had celebrated warhorse Simon Mannering's 300th game after just holding off the giant-killing Raiders, who muscled to the front through Auckland-born Josh Papali'i. David Fusatua grabbed his 22nd try of the competition, but in a repeat of their earlier close call in Canberra, it came down to Sean Johnson's kicking, this time penalties. But the Raiders came agonisingly close to snatching a late victory, leaving the coach a mite anxious.
Very.
But they're putting a positive spin on their narrow 2016 escape.
I'm glad we experienced that. We're going to come across times over the coming weeks that might be similar situations.
They'll also be hoping that Mannering can recover from his sternum injury, which severely limited his milestone match. Also a nervous wait for the severely depleted Storm to see if it will win the minor premiership after losing to Penrith in Melbourne last night. The Panthers were as terrible in the first half as for most of last week against the Warriors, with 2 sin binnings. But they finally found some gusto to win 22-16 and almost certainly secure a home playoff match. And it could be against the Warriors next week, depending on Brisbane's result tomorrow.
To tennis, and at the US Open, Venus Williams refused to bow out late in the second set of her Friday night showdown with her sister Serena. But it was the younger of the two siblings that owned the evening as a whole.
Two sisters who've shared so much over the years, which makes facing off on the court tough. Even tougher when this happens early on.
Ankle, there it is.
Serena Williams going over on her ankle and calling for the trainer before 2 games had even been played. But if Venus hoped it would help her beat her younger sister at a major for the first time in 10 years, it quickly became apparent it wasn't slowing her down.
That sets up.
In fact, it seemed like it just motivated Serena to finish each point as quickly as possible. Venus's coach putting it aptly.
Venus is kind of like a punching bag right now.
The blows kept coming. Venus may have won their last match 5 months ago at Indian Wells, but this time Serena looked back to her best. At one stage, she won 7 games in a row before the higher-seeded sister finally clawed one back.
Venus is on the board.
In the end, the 6-1, 6-2 victory took just over 70 minutes. But there was nothing enjoyable about this win for Serena.
Every time she loses, I feel like I do. So, yeah, it's not very easy, but it's a tournament, and we all know that there's more to life than just playing each other and playing tennis.
While the sisters refused to make eye contact for the entire match, that was all forgotten at the end. Serena admitting it's her best match of the year. Perhaps she needed something familiar to remind her what she's capable of.
From a former Auckland College rugby star to the next generation, Sacred Heart's under-15 side were chasing glory today for their legendary coach, Brother Dunstan Henry. The beloved teacher has been a selfless servant of the game for more than 60 years.
For a man just shy of 90, there's not much Brother Dunstan Henry can't do. The former military man, a gentle general on the paddock.
Pace yourself just so that you can, do it on Saturdays when it's important. Your country needs you.
Back in 2010, One News followed Brother Dunstan as he clinched what was believed to be his 17th age grade title. 8 years on, he's lost count.
No, honestly, I have no idea.
But just what is his winning formula?
The main thing is to get good kids. Kids who are prepared to work hard and who listen to you.
It's that love of the game, he says, that's the secret to his longevity.
Are you 88?
No, sometimes I do.
He says he knows when his time will come to step aside.
When I stop enjoying it, I suppose, if it becomes a burden, when it's not a sport anymore, is it?
The players in awe of their mentor.
Coaching for that long, it's just an honour to be in his team.
Brother Dunstan believes the team's close to being one of the best he's had, and he's certain how he'll celebrate yet another championship.
I'll come home and have a few beers.
Game day, and as kick-off approached, Auckland's fog blanketed Mount Wellington's War Memorial Reserve. The coach meticulous as he marshalled his troops for battle.
Some guys are still not focused, you don't yap to each other, concentrating on what you're doing. Like, go!
But he needn't have worried. Sacred Heart stepped up in its season decider to clinch the final 32-5 against St Kentigern.
I thought the kids played very, very well. I was more nervous than they were.
Time to celebrate.
Can I have those beers later today?
My oath.
And that's a wrap on Trekk Sports for tonight. Up next, the weather details for tonight and tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Trekk Sports. Trekk Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for this afternoon and tonight in the southern region, rain showers in Port Moresby, Kirrima and Popondetta. Fine, although cloudy in Daru, and thundery showers in Alotau. In the Momase region, rain showers in Lae, while Madang and Vanimo, and rain and thunderstorms in Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands region, rain drizzles in Lorengau, Kokopo, Rabaul, a shower or two in Kimbenbuka, and some showers in Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, rain drizzles in Mount Hagen and rain showers in Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabag. Forecast for small ships. There is a strong wind warning for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through to Torres Strait and Daru, to Kiwai Island to Kirrima, to Yule Island to Hood Point, to Samari Islands, eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, through Vitiaz and Dampier Strait, to CRC Islands to Long Island, including West New Britain. Strong southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots are expected to continue for the next 24 hours, causing rough seas, while small crafts and boats are advised to take necessary precautions before and after going out to sea. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, to Kiwai Island and Kirrima, to Yule Island to Hood Point, to Samari Islands, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, including waters of Samari Island to Cape Bogle to Finschhafen, and with waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to CSE Islands to Long Island, and waters of West New Britain, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang, to Borgia, to Wewak, to Aitape, to Vanimo and northern PNG-Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, with waters of New Ireland to East New Britain to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas moderate to rough with southeast winds at 20 to 34 knots and scattered showers. In the Solomon Sea, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots with gusts and scattered showers. In the Bismarck Sea, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots with gusts and isolated thunderstorms. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with southeast into clockwise winds at 10 to 20 knots with scattered showers.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Before we go, a final look at our top stories tonight. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence to come in place of President Donald Trump for Apec. Rising sea levels force calls for Vanimo prison relocation. And Kokoda Trekk locals fed up with seeing no benefits. And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Saturday, the 1st of September 2018. A reminder that at 8 p.m. this evening, we have My Province, My Country 43 years on. And the province in the spotlight is the Marlborough Province. We hope you enjoy it. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team here in Port Moresby and around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.